Hey, it's been a while since R&B gospel singer, international performer, powerhouse vocalist Nicole Thalìa has been on my show. Welcome back to RayPresents.
Thank you. Hi. How you
How are
doing?
you?
I'm
Good. How are
good.
you?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm great. It's been great. It's great to be back. Thank you for asking me.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
My pleasure. It's great to have you back. I know you've been so busy since the last time we
Yeah.
sat down. You know, you've been performing everywhere at very beautiful venues around the world. So tell me, with all these incredible experiences that you've had, Nicole, since we last spoke, which one has challenged or changed you the most?
I would say the whole of last year was very challenging in general because I was away, just for reference. I live in London, but I was away since I would say us we left London on the 25th of May and I got back on the 2nd of January. And I
Mm,
got back here and there, but very like 2 days, 1 day in between. And I was on tour for majority of this time with the Italian singer I sing with, Marco Mengoni. But the problem is that in between, I was also working for my businesses here in London, and we run an entertainment agency for a gospel choir and a live show band that I also front. So, so it's been very difficult because obviously I had to have calls with clients between sound check and prep time, or not no sleep because I have to finish a report, or now we have extra help, and that was definitely needed because I'm not someone who generally just leans on people. So that was also another lesson learned. But I would say just in general, the whole experience between being a singer, having my own music out there, and on top of that, also being a business, person, so an entrepreneur, it's just been the most challenging thing. So I've learned very much from that, I would say.
So you manage the own bookings for we're talking about Agape
Hmm.
Collective and the
Yeah.
London Suite. Am I correct?
Yeah, so we
Okay.
have, I co-founded both. So I have one person I've co-founded Agape Gospel Collective with, and another person, the musical director, is my pianist, Lyndon, who I've
Mhm.
co-founded the band with. So I do have, I'm part of both. However, for the gospel choir mainly, that's how it started. It became really big in 2023, as I was the face basically initially of it because I was connected to this big artist in Italy. So it really exploded in just a matter of days. And with the band, it's more like, my situation outside of everything else. So I just get to be myself performing what we love the most with incredible musicians. And we just do R&B, mainly soulful music for different type of events and weddings and all sorts. But yes, we do handle our own bookings. We do have now people working in, within the team. So we've hired extra people and we're growing. But equally, I don't believe that I should just leave things to other people in general. Like, even though they do work, I have to go back and check.
That's great. So I've seen something really, really interesting. I mean, you've been part of the Black Coffee's orchestral show, which was
Yes.
huge with guest performers like Alicia Keys, which is incredible itself. And then you come back home with your family and friends. How do you move between those two worlds and stay grounded?
I think it's always been a normal thing for someone like me. I remember this. I say this all the time. When I think I was probably 3, 4 years in my London life. I moved here when I was 19, so this was probably 2014, 2015, and I started working with really big artists like Tom Jones, Paloma Faith. I've done Gladys Knight in America with the Kingdom Choir and other people, and I think the peak of this situation was 2017 VMAs award with Demi Lovato, and I remember it so vividly. The night before, I was at MTV Awards next to Demi Lovato. The morning after, so it was about 10, 12 hours later, I was serving pancakes in a restaurant because I was still surviving. I think there's this misconception of people doing this massive things, especially initially. I was very young again. I was 23, 24. So I was still, obviously I don't have my family here. So I needed to support myself first and foremost. And music came slowly. That year, actually, I just left everything else and I just focused on music. But I just needed to support myself. So there's this misconception that when you do big things equals you being rich or equals you being able, to be financially well off or fine. Whereas that's really not the case for the music industry. You get paid for the gig and then you don't know what happens for the next few months. So so you kind of have to be grounded. And I also believe, with God, God takes and gives. So if you act a bit crazy, then it's going to take things away very quickly and you're going to learn the lesson. So that's what makes me grounded really the most. And how I grew up, my family's very grounded. So
That's
that
sitting next to Demi Lovato to serving pancakes the next day.
literally,
It's a,
it's
yeah,
like 14th of November 2017. And I remember my friends were like, what are you doing? And even my manager was like, so last night you were there. Why are you here now? And I was like, well, because I need money. I need to survive. I need to pay
yeah,
my rent. And that
yeah.
experience pays you, but it pays you like at the time, £350, £400.
Mhm.
So, I was part of, other people. So I wasn't the only person singing, but that's what shows you, how really the music industry works, especially when you're trying to put you're trying to open doors.
That's interesting that you talk about the perception that people have. Just not too long ago, I was speaking to a local artist who's doing great things internationally. His name is City Fidelia, and he was just sharing
Oh,
with me that people people see him on videos and he's doing great, but it doesn't necessarily mean that okay, you're super wealthy, you're able to fund your projects, etc. You still need to find funding, and it goes back to what you're saying. You still need to survive, whether it's serving pancakes, etc. Right?
yeah, just even at the beginning of this year, remember that since the war, the situation of the music industry has been a little bit confusing for everybody. We remembered during COVID, the booking process, or even how your diary looks, kind of shook everything up. So we learned that after COVID, before your diary was supposed to be full. So if now it's August 2026. I need to have a full diary by the whole of, by the end of this month, I should be able to have at least 3/4 of the year full for next year. And that was like
Hmm.
normal until 2020. Then COVID changes things quite a lot at the time. So we were, oh, what do you mean? Obviously, because people weren't booking things anymore. So it was all like, oh, next month I'm getting married. Do you want to come and sing? Or this artist is putting up a show, come. And then you don't know when this artist can do a show again because of lockdowns, because of different countries and regulations, and in general, how money just, started working in the industry itself of the entertainment industry. So there was just less. And also people were just booking things last minute. So
Hmm.
now we were used to a diary being booked, even you can have a full month of not working and the next month being super full and you literally receive bookings on the 5th of the same month. And then all of a sudden your month is full. So that's what's been until now. Now, since the war, things have changed once again. So we had to readapt. So what happened was the very beginning of this year, so between I would say January and February for us is always very quiet, unless you do a residency abroad or you have a tour like it's happened with me with Kingdom Choir, going to America. So there's a section of this year anyway that wouldn't be full. But what's happened is until May, a lot of us were like, we're not doing nothing. But funnily enough, because I was posting these very big things that I did like once in April, I did this masterclass at the Brit School, which I think we'll
Yes.
talk about later. And people were like, oh my gosh, you're so busy. I was like, no, I was in bed for 5 months. But the truth is we were obviously working towards the whole summer, which was extremely busy. But for months, we've not physically gone to an event to sing, which is a very strange thing. But because we kept posting, because I'm very consistent on social media, because, this and that, then people were like, oh my gosh, you must have been busy. I'm like, no, actually, I was here and I was waiting for a call. But, you know, we were all, whoever you spoke to had the same perception. So
The
it
same
was,
perception, huh? Yeah.
yes, as in
Yeah.
like they felt the same. Like even if I told them, oh, you must have been busy because I saw you doing this gig. It's like, yeah, but it was the only one that month. So yeah, things have kind of, they develop every time.
That's great. Recently we just spoke about agencies taking over residencies that musicians have spent years building. What you
Yeah.
told me about, what's happening in the industry right now, and what does that mean for independent artists like you? If you can just
Uh,
break it down for the people.
yeah. So it happens that, especially in central London, obviously, I'm from London at the moment. I live here, so I can explain it best about, what UK perspective.
Hmm.
Uh, there's a lot of people that have, have had residencies for a very long time. So you get to sing at the same club, at the same hotel, at the same restaurant for a certain amount of years. You have your personal contract with either the venue itself or
Hmm.
an agent that works with you. And then all of a sudden, there's like, the multi-millionaire industries to just come and take over. And they, I think, promise, a bigger cut to the venue and cheaper contracts given to the singer,
Mm.
the musicians, and they take over. So I've had friends, my boyfriend, or other people, who are close to me, who have been literally pushed out places where they worked for 4 or 5 years. So for us, in terms of business that can happen because we've put contracts in place because we've seen these things happening. So no one can actually remove us, whether it's the gospel choir or the band, from anywhere for at least 6 months notice. So we've been awake with that. But I think a lot of people obviously don't think of that because they're like, oh, like you need me. So why would that happen? But,
Hmm.
you know, they're like, oh, sorry, we don't have any more money. And then the week after, you just see the same residency going on with complete different people and it's the same agency, kind of. So,
Wow. Wow.
yeah.
That's intense. Is there legally, so you said for, in your case, nothing can happen for at least 6 months. You need to
Yeah, so
receive
they would
6
they
months
need to tell us
notice.
exactly. They need to give us a 6 months notice so that we would be ready when that happens. We just move forward and do something else. But it's happened before us. It will happen after us. That if you don't protect yourself in a specific way, because that's another thing as well. A lot of professionals in the music industry are not really uh, savvy about the law and what it is good for us and what we need to actually look into and be very informed about what we can receive, what we can't receive. That's extremely important. But a lot of people just they do it for the love of music, which I do as well. But it is a job, so you have to treat it like that.
I love that. You told me this before, if it wasn't for the love of music, it wouldn't be worth it. So knowing what you know now, what would you tell the Nicole who was just starting out?
I think I would just tell her to follow her vision. I think, well, last time we spoke, I kind of gave you a similar answer, and that will never be as relevant as today. I think a lot of the intuitions that I've had when I was younger, some of the observations that I was able to make, actually led me to a really good place because of just being myself. So the fact that I come from a different country, I have a very unique career because I cover 3 different territories in one. And it's just a very, very strange thing that an Italian little girl comes to the UK, sings at the royal wedding, and then all of a sudden happens in America and does incredible things and meets you and comes back. It's just very unusual. So the way I sing, who I am, what I represent, it's very bold and I know it's unique, but not because it's just me. It's just because it's me. So there's other people, everyone is unique in their own way. I am unique in my way. And I know the things I'm doing and the things I envision are always, for me, the right path. And then, there's not been a time where I was feeling it in my gut and I followed it and I was like, oh, shame. It's always been good. When I change my mind because other people try to be like, oh no, this is not safe, or that, I'm never happy with the outcome. So I would just tell her to just continue to be yourself and continue to persist with the love of music, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. Like, I go to war with people for the love of music. I don't care. So generally.
I love it. It's a great story, that we were able to meet and have these great conversations. I don't know if I told you this before, but there's a lot of, after our first conversation, there's a few singers who reached out to me. It's like, oh wow, I love the conversation you had with Nicole. There's
Oh wow.
so much information that I received. A lot of singers in the church was like struggling. It's like, should I sing,
Yeah.
songs outside the church? And after listening to you, it felt more comfortable. So everyone's listening, and there's a lesson for everyone, and that's why I love having conversations with people from different sectors like you who have more experience, singing internationally.
Absolutely. But that's, exactly for the same reason that you've just mentioned is why I started doing consultations in
Mhm.
artistry, because I was very much like, to myself, I'm naturally an introverted person. So I'm not the loudest. If we get into a room, you'll see me in a corner. I don't really care about socializing. I'm not one of those. So networking for me has never been natural.
Mhm.
But there is one thing that I've noticed after I started touring, after I started getting a little bit of attention, whether it's who I am physically, who I am as a person, who I am how I sing, um, that I've realized the world needs a different voice, and it needs that unique perspective. It needs that person who everyone tells you you need to follow this because this is the way to do it, and the other person tells you you need to follow this because this is the way to do it. At the end of the day, there is no right and wrong way to do it. It's just what feels best to who you are. So I started giving consultations because of this exact reason, because for me, it was necessary to actually give a different perspective to people. For example, in Italy, sometimes I go there like every 5, 6 months. We do the sessions where I do either lessons or consultations, and I just try to get them out of where they are physically for a moment, because I'm in London and I'm from Rome. So I'm from a massive city and I live in a massive city. So my perspective has always been like way awake, forward, far from where we are today. But there's people who live in a village, people who are limited in their surroundings, limited in their resources, that sometimes feel like, well, that's all I can do. That's what I deserve, maybe because it's the life I'm stuck in. And actually, that's not really true. It's just the perspective that we envision that changes really our reality. So I always tell them, I know that for me it's easy because once I leave this room, I go back to my house in London with my friends and my boyfriend and my reality over there with the career I've built. But I've built this career. It's not like someone gave it to me. So the same way I can do it, you can do it in your own way. You don't have to follow my path, but it is
But
it is necessary.
yeah, yeah. Speaking about, well, you spoke briefly about, being a consultant. So you sung at the royal wedding. You toured with Marco Mengoni, Gladys Knight, Black Coffee, so many stars, superstars. Um, and now recently, I believe you mentioned earlier, you taught a class at the Brit School. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Yes. So I was very fortunate to be asked to hold this masterclass at the Brit School. It's funny because this is the third year I actually am part of this masterclass, but it's the first time I was holding it as Nicole Thalìa's
Mm.
masterclass for singers and performers in general. The past 2 years, I was asked to be part of it as one of the singers. Basically, we get to put together a masterclass that's called the live band. So basically what happens is the students get to see a professional live band. So it's basically bird eye view. So they can ask questions in between, but what we do is basically work as if we were in the studio. And the musical director, who is a very dear friend of mine, Keith Bazari, who's also the person who put together the whole Black Coffee choir, he has, he teaches over there. So he sometimes has this ability to put together these really great masterclasses for industry week. So the students actually don't just learn about music or about singing, about writing or about guitar, but they actually get to see and talk to industry experts like me and a lot of other people. So it's a whole week of incredible events that happen every 2-3 hours with a new person, with a new masterclass, a new seminary. So it's incredible. And every year, so it's been the third year now, I get to buy in the band masterclass, which is on the Friday. So they get to see us from morning to afternoon, the way we work. So we get thrown a scenario at us, which is real. Like the night before, we get the song. So that's what happens in real life. So sometimes
Hmm.
you tour with Ariana and she decides, oh, okay, guys, by the way, tomorrow we're doing this new arrangement. Boom. So you have about 2 hours to learn because then you need to sleep. And then the morning you turn up. And then between singers, we work out our parts, and then the musicians work out their parts, and then they get to see the process. But then this year, I was able to actually hold my own masterclass within the industry week, and I was able to just teach these kids, which are incredible, by the way. They go from 14 to college. So there's all sorts of ages as well. And a great thing is because there was another masterclass after me, which was bass player masterclass, and I was in the main room, basically bass players, drums, and singers. At the end, I got everybody. And the points is like everything was made on purpose, but it wasn't. It just happened. The points I was actually facing towards the end, which was, character, the character that holds you, actually keeps you in the room, is not your talent. or, lateness, and, how you really move as a person, your values in the music industry, not really your talent or what you've learned or how good you look, wherever. It's actually, and everyone was just in that room. And it was just great to have experts with me on stage to be like, yeah, that we all agree on the same thing. And the students being so curious. I literally had to stop every 5 minutes because they were like, and it was really cute because they were just asking things and they were like, wow, like when I was giving them perspective or like, vocal technique advice or anything that they needed at that point, it was just great to be able to just give them something they can take home and then they can grow up with.
Wow, that's great. Talking about vocal technique. So as a vocalist, what do you, what do you hear in another singer that makes you go, wow, this person can really sing? I always wanted to know as a vocalist.
Yeah, well, there's different aspects of it. Obviously, I love technique. I love vocal technique. I love a great singer on, 360 degrees. It's not just, the tone. There's a lot of things. But yes, the main thing for me, if they can sing well, like I know the singer is not struggling when they're singing, that's already like, I'm at ease because I can actually listen without feeling like, oh my gosh, they're going to strain their voice. Oh my gosh. But after that, obviously, there's tone, there's the resonance, there's, the interpretation, obviously. Uh, yeah, there's the melody choices as well, the riffs they choose to make, musical choices, I would say, yes.
Hmm. So earlier you told me there was some time off, during your, a certain year. During that time off, I just want to know about rehearsal. How does
Yeah.
it work for how much rehearsal, how much time is put into rehearsal for a professional like yourself?
So it depends. So technically, if you want to sing well, you should rehearse every day. So just by myself, you don't have to be in a room. You can be at home like I do by myself. The good thing for me is that I teach almost daily. So I kind of rehearse with my students. So that helps me even more. But before that, before I decided to start teaching vocal coaching sessions, I just did my own exercises. So that's something that to keep your voice in shape. Because the truth is, your vocal folds are a muscle. So the same way you get to go to the gym and you get to use your your muscles, in a specific way based on how much work you've put in, the vocal folds are exactly the same. So if you don't practice for a month and then you open your mouth, you will feel it and you're not going to sing the same as you were singing, when you were singing every other day. So it's just a practicing, you know what I mean? So that's how it starts. So you have to think that in order to sing at a certain level, you need to perform not even every single day, but 3-4 times a week minimum, because that way the muscle knows what's happening. You would
Mhm.
remind them that, hello, like I wanted to perform at this level, not at this level. So that's the one. And then obviously you need to think of the time of rehearsals with other people. So if we have, for example, a luxury wedding or event with Agape Gospel Choir, Gospel Collective, or London Soul Suite, which is my show band, then it's a whole day rehearsal minimum. But before that, there's a remote rehearsal between me and a musical director just to just discuss like what's the repertoire. But before
Mhm.
that, again, there's a call with the client back and forth for months sometimes about the repertoire. So it just depends on what it is. For a tour, it's about a month of rehearsals daily. So it's 9 a.m. to about 8 to 10 p.m. every day for 3 weeks to a month. But that's stadium level. So that means that obviously you have 60 to 70,000 people in front of you every other show. The shows are not every day for stadiums. They're a bit less. So you get to actually have a breather in between, but it's necessary because you need to first assemble the show musically. Then you need to add the harmonies for the singers. And then you need to make sure that everything works. And then you've got the choreographies. So, there's so many elements moving. It's
Wow.
time is needed.
I love the background information. This is is exclusive on RayPresents. It's not every day you get to speak to a professional singer and you get all to see all this side, because most of us, we just see, you know,
The finished product.
the finished product, the beautiful stadium, the nice, the wardrobe, the lights, but for me at least, very interesting to see what's behind it, what led up to it and the
Yeah, I
preparation
think
it takes.
I think I work like the singing. I always say to people, singing is literally the easiest thing. Singing is like that. You sing one song, you're done. it's what's behind that song, the amount of preparation. Because the problem is not just you singing. The problem is coordinating with everybody else and everything else. There's so many elements in shows that obviously move around you. So it's not just, oh, what song do you want to sing at what time? It's, are the people going to be standing when I sing? Am I going to have the right microphone? Is the keys player going to have the right, technical specification based on what we sent? No, most of the time, no. So you have to fight about that. And then there's, the backing tracks. Are they going to work, or is it going to have a bend? Or there's so much. And so for me, singing is like, oh, I'm finally done. Like the day of the event is actually like, oh, this is done. Like in my head, the event is already finished when I've done the last call with the client, because that's where it's hardest.
And how you react to, let's say there's something that's, you didn't expect during the show. Does that happen sometimes? Like, oh, wow. Okay.
All
This
the
wasn't
time.
part of the plan.
All the time.
All the
But
time, huh?
yeah, because the thing is, again, I can only control myself and
Mm-hmm.
partially my artists, but at the end of the day, everyone is free to do what they do. So it
Mm-hmm.
can happen a few times, but it's part of the business. So you have to just build your character in a way that you won't show it that is going wrong. What I always tell people, whether it's my students, but actually same thing with my colleagues and, people that I hire for the different jobs, I just try to tell them at the end of the day, nobody knows what's happening on the other side. Like we are, as musicians and artists, anyone who works in the entertainment world, whether there's an actor, dancer, we are such perfectionists and we're so harsh with ourselves. But the one thing that really helped me, and I try to really get people out of their minds, like, out of, then you need to get out of yourself and really think, first of all, who are you to think so highly of yourself? Like, just calm down, even for me. Because I'm like, we're all humans. We all make mistakes. So once you actually see this perspective, it's much easier to be okay with yourself, because it happens all the time that even if you rehearse as much as you want, but it could be that, I don't know, the wind blows in a certain way and you choke while you're singing. So what are you going to do? Like just run away? No, you just have to just embrace it. It's happened at the same tour where I met you. I lost a shoe one day in New York. And what am I going to do? I just embraced it. I threw the other shoe, and the audience went crazy. So sometimes you just have to embrace your human sides. Sometimes we have, cues in our ears and in ears, and one person doesn't listen to them because for some reason there's no connection, and the whole song is messed up. So what am I going to do? Go desperate because for 6 months I've prepared that song? No, it is what it is. You just move forward. Unfortunately, things like this can happen. So you just have to have grace and learn from that mistake. So do everything you can for that not to happen next time.
That's right. Lose a shoe or not, keep singing. Let's go.
Yeah, what can you do? Years before, I would have literally been so ashamed of what's happened and think that people at me. But the truth is, you get what you give out. So if you give out the energy of, you know what, it's just a shoe, let me just take off the other one. Because I was trying. I was singing Respect by Aretha, it wasn't an easy song. And I was trying to still put my shoe back on. I was like, nah, shame it. I just threw it away. And people loved it because it's natural. It's a human connection. Because at the end of the day, that's our main, priority, is creating a human connection with the audience.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So listen, Nicole, we've had, we were serious enough. Now it's time to ask the real questions, tough questions. Yeah. Okay. So you have to pick one. No ties, no sitting on the fence, and you have to tell me why. If you have to choose between Whitney Houston and Celine Dion, who would it be?
Can't stand you because I don't know what you're asking me these questions. That's the worst question you can ask me, because it's a whole thing about my life. Well, so I can't choose, but what I can say is Celine is the reason why I sing. So I've been obsessed with Celine Dion since when I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
Entirely the reason why I get to do what I do. She's still an incredible example for me daily. So it's something that I still, someone I still look up to. I managed to get tickets for Paris. I'm extremely excited for October for residency. But Whitney, on the other hand, is, the pioneer of the genre that I sing. So it's funny because I've listened to a recent video that I've recorded, someone recorded of me while I was doing a performance. And, the finale of a song that I did, it was like, tell me you grew up with Whitney Houston without telling me. Because literally, it's got nothing to do with Whitney, but it's like when you've grown up with her as a singer, naturally there's it's so easy to get influenced by someone so incredible.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's a household debate every day because my boyfriend is obviously his whole family. Everybody's like, Whitney. And I'm like, yeah, but Celine, guys, I understand. And then it also depends because I know the Jamaicans love Whitney, so
Is he Jamaican?
they're obsessed with Celine. So it's like they get it. They get my obsession with both.
Yeah. Yeah. No, both great choices. I mean, you can't go
Yeah.
wrong. Till this day, I think Whitney Houston's national anthem at the Super Bowl, I forgot which year it was, to me is still the
86,
best.
something like
It was
that.
86 or something like that, right? She had a white tracksuit, I think. That was the best
It's
for
still
me.
unparalleled. I think the only person that got quite close this year was at the what do we talk about? The World Cup. Was Jennifer Hudson. She
Mm.
at the end, I actually fainted. Like where she took.
Did you?
Yeah, no, I was like, and the thing is, she's incredible. I always know she's incredible, but performances are always great. And I was like, wow, the white, and her, the way she emits the sounds. There's just so much of her that reminds me as well a little bit of Whitney. Sorry.
Oh, awesome. How about Adele and Mariah Carey?
Not two of my favorites. So I would have to choose Mariah in this because she's again another inspiration when it comes to R&B. She's an icon, obviously, of the time. The only thing I have to say I don't respect much of Mariah is that it's more of the way she treated her voice. So she's not been really very, very good and kind to her vocal folds. So it's kind of like when you have a gift, it's nice to see it respected. That's where I say, someone like Celine.
But wait a minute. Tell me more about that. So people don't understand what you're saying right now. Having respect for the vocal cords.
Yeah. So obviously, whenever when we sing, we need to be conscious of the fact that wherever you put in your body will affect your vocal folds. So whether it's drinking, whether it's drugs, whether it's excessive shouting, whether it's, lack of vocal technique in that case. So I do believe that as singers, I was actually speaking about this with a student just before I had an interview with you. So it's actually very nice to say we have an obligation towards music. If you think about it, singers are some of the very few people in the music industry that just improvise themselves as something, because we just open our mouth and the sounds come out nice to the ear. But a bass player can't do that. A keys player can't do that. A drummer can't do it. It happens obviously a lot in the gospel industry because people just are born within the music industry, so they just have the ear for it. Like my boyfriend who's a drummer, same thing for my pianist. They just wherever you play at them, they've been like that since when they were 2 years old. But that's not an excuse not to learn your craft. So it happens a lot with people like Adele, and in this case with people like Mariah, that don't have any vocal technique at all. Mariah was just very lucky to be born the way she was. So I don't personally, I'm not a fan of, okay, just because you're great, but because of birth, then I need to support you 100%. She's incredible. The song producers behind her were absolutely amazing. So I will never say that's not great, but it's just a personal opinion based on the person, artist, rather than the music. You know what I mean? And Adele was the same, but I just, I used to love Adele when she came out because it was, something fresh, something new. But then it became all the same. And personally, I just
Hey, don't send me any emails, guys. All right?
No,
It's a personal,
absolutely personal opinion. And again, that's what's great about music. I feel like it's so great that everyone gets to give their own perspective.
Of course.
It's not denying. Like I would never tell someone, "Oh, why do you like this person?" Do you know what I mean? It's more music belongs to everybody. So at the end of the day, we all need to be able to have our perspective on it.
Of course.
There's professionals that do this for an entire lifetime. So seeing people that just improvise themselves being singers or, and being successful. I'm not saying obviously either of them are, but, it happens a lot. So they are the closest example to what I'm talking about, basically.
No, I love it. I love the honesty of your response.
Yeah.
How about if I told you Stevie Wonder or Luther Vandross?
That was an annoying one as well. Oh, you can't choose. So here, I can't say nothing negative about either of them. So not negative, but like I can't have a preference. I love both. We perform both. they're absolutely pivotal to anyone who wants to do R&B and soul music. So
Yeah.
that's
Is
not.
there? Let me ask you a question. Is there actually a singer that you're asked to sing one of their songs, and you're like, wow, this is very difficult? Is there actually one that comes to mind?
Michael Jackson.
Is that so? Huh? Is there one
I
song in
can't.
particular?
No, I can't sing Michael Jackson, but I think it's because it's that his placement for the sound was so particular and so unique that's why almost anybody sings it the way he used to. Um, you know, so I think, yeah, that's basically it, Michael. Because Michael had this very, very singular way of, and very, very specific range as well for a man, to have.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it's for women, it's very difficult to approach because it's not exactly a female range. But for men, it's also impossible to approach because it hits certain parts of the vocal tract that you need to be basically like level pro expert to do that. But even then, it's very rare. I think the closest person I got to that was in a way Justin Timberlake, Chris Brown, but even then, it's a complete different sound. So that's why I think so many people struggle to reproduce that, or even to get to try and make your own version. You can't.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, I understand there's a lot of people from those lists, the names that I just named, you may work with eventually. So sorry for for the trouble,
I
but I
know,
have
yeah.
to. How about if I tell you Andrea Bocelli and Luciano Pavarotti? Obviously you're Italian, so I have to throw in these two names at you.
Yeah, thank you. No, I appreciate that. I personally prefer Pavarotti because he is I would say, the quintessential classical singer. But
Mhm.
I love Bocelli as well. He's incredible. It's just a different genre. So Bocelli is the entry level to those who like listening to like pop. In Italian, it's called lyrica. So it's not lyrical in terms of lyrics, but actually classical music. So
Mhm.
that's entry level. And then there's Pavarotti. It's just a different
Mhm.
thing. There's pop crossover classical, and Pavarotti is the classical singer. So that's the tenor. So that's why it's slightly different. And also the approach is different. So one of my teachers used to absolutely despise Bocelli. She was like, "Oh, you can't sing." And I was like, "No,
Was
that's
that
not really."
right?
Yeah, yeah. And I have to say, most of my teachers growing up were classical singers. So that's why also I think I'm a bit harsh in the way I give my opinions, because in classical music, there's either you can sing or you can't. There is no, oh, but I like your tone. There isn't such a thing. So I'm a little bit in between because I come from that world and my head is very much black or white, but equally because music is so everything that you can't put everything in a box. And that's
No, I
why
get it.
I love, and I would love, that's why Bocelli is one of a dream collaboration, a dream artist to work with. It's just from a perspective of the genre that you put it in, basically.
I totally get it. Funny story. My neighbor who studied at Juilliard, uh, when you, I told him once that I liked Kenny G, and he almost lost it. He was like, Kenny G cannot play. He got offended that I told him.
So that's how a
Yeah.
lot of singers feel about Beyonce. And it's not
Hmm.
like because she can sing, absolutely, she's incredible. But we're like, yeah, but there's so many other people. So you'll rarely find an actual singer that, feels that way about Beyonce. Like you don't, it's not the same as a fan. There'll be some, obviously, there'll be, because there's so many people that love her. But that's the same thing. You're like, yeah, but look at all of this.
Yeah. So if I have to say as my last one, Nicole at 19 and Nicole now,
Yeah.
which one is, would you say you had more
Oh,
range back then? Who's better?
no, today, because it's just everything you learn as well. Like it's funny that you asked me this question, because there are things vocally that I could do back then that I can't do now, but that is entirely dependent on the fact that my voice has changed. Obviously,
Hmm.
our vocal folds form as a woman, obviously at 19, is still in process of mutating from when from 12, 13. Obviously, girls have a longer process in that. For men, literally, you wake up one day and you're like, hello. Whereas with women, it's not like that. You don't actually have that hit, like, you don't hear it. So actually, big part of my job is also looking after little girls that are like 12, 13 now, and, guiding them through healthily, vocally, through this passage of, going from girl to a woman.
Mhm.
And that's, for me, I could hear a lot of that before, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't reach this note that easily now. But obviously, everything I've learned around it, how it technically so much, but also it's just the confidence, um, that just basically gives you the rest of the 80% of the work.
I love that. Love our conversations, Nicole. Can you tell people what they can expect from you the next, the coming months, where they can reach you if they want to learn more about all this technique that you share with me today?
Yes. So for those speaking English, there's a lot of it on Instagram. So Nicole Thalìa official, you'll be able to find all sorts of different content around the music industry, where I work. You can follow my career path and everything, all of the cool experiences, really. If you also speak Italian and you happen to understand a little bit of that, if you're Spanish or that, you can also follow my TikTok, which is exclusively in Italian. It wasn't supposed to be, but it happened. And that's where I stay close to my Italian community. So you can follow me that same name, Nicole Thalìa Official. I'm also on Spotify, but there's going to be some news because I'm going to release some music before the end of the year. And actually, the current Spotify, this is an exclusive thing because I've not told anybody except me and my producer. It's going to be wiped out. I'm going to start from scratch. So there's going to be really nice things happening before the end of the year. Lots of new promo material coming from the gospel choir as well. So we are literally in the works with producing a lot of new songs that we're going to shoot in September, and lots of new stuff as well with the band. So yeah, all around, there's a lot of newness coming through.
Love it. All the best to you. Thanks for dropping by and sharing all the information, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Thank you so much. See
Thank
you
you,
soon.
Nicole. All right.